There is no winner in this.
No.
There's no two teams. There is one frickin' team. It's called the United States. And so far, all we've managed to do is crush our own people.
At the time of this filming, we are in the 28th day of the current government shutdown.
Though only 6.2% of our $15 million budget is taxpayer funded, our partners, most of them are fully funded by taxpayer dollars. And so we're absorbing this in a way that I don't know, quite honestly, how long we can do that.
And if the shutdown continues 2 more days, SNAP benefits for more than 2.9 million Floridians will be impacted.
And for those of you that are celebrating this, understand that the bulk of people that are being affected are elderly and children.
So several of your guests are relying on these SNAP benefits to supplement their food.
Oh, not several, all of them. All of them.
I don't think a healthy, able-bodied person should have a problem with working.
Oh, no, I agree.
Even if it's volunteer.
Agree with you 100%. It's not a matter whether people want to work or not, but what happens is often people are saying, well, you know, they understand they're homeless. They said, do you have access to a shower and clean clothes? Well, no, I don't. Well, where do you sleep at night? Well, wherever I can put my head. Oh, he runs right to the top of my list who I'm hiring.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tracy Lewis with Imagine Marketing. I'm joined by Pastor Scott, who is the founder and CEO of Matthew's Hope, as well as Shelley Bradford, who is the president and executive director of Matthew's Hope. This podcast is filmed and edited by John Burkett with Imagine. Welcome to this week's episode of Straight Talk No BS with Matthew's Hope, presented by Imagine Marketing. At Imagine Marketing, we put in the extra effort to craft a tailored strategy for success. We also offer photography, videography, and even podcast production services. So book a free consultation today. In this episode, we will be talking about the current government's shutdown, changes to SNAP benefits, and how the expected increases in health insurance premiums are likely to impact the homelessness crisis in our country. At the time of this filming, we are in the 28th day of the current government shutdown. The official White House website claims that, quote, Democrats have shut down the government, end of quote, and then offers a list of alleged impacts on each state. In the case of Florida, the site suggests that about 2,900 workers have been unemployed. Around 155,000 federal workers are furloughed or working without pay. And if the shutdown continues 2 more days, SNAP benefits for more than 2.9 million Floridians will be impacted. 1.1 million of those recipients are children. So with all that said, what do you guys want to talk about?
That's a lot.
It is.
That's a lot. First off, I'm looking forward to the time when we do less blaming who is doing what. The deal maker needs to get everybody to the table and make a deal. Here's the reality. The Democrats are holding tight because they understand what's going to happen if those benefits expire. And the Republicans have shown so far in being office through the president that whatever they want to do, they're going to do and just run it through executive order. And they're now trying to get the Democrats to believe them to say, well, let's start and then we'll talk. Mm-hmm. And I got to tell you, if I was a Democrat, which I am not, but if I were, I would probably sit there and go, no, you put it in place and then we'll all sit down. And that's what they're looking to happen. Here's the problem. We keep forgetting that these are taxpayer-funded public servants that are to use our tax dollars for the will of the people. That's not what's going on with this administration. Quite honestly, didn't happen with the last administration either. This one just seems to be taking it to another level. The sad part is the American people are who's getting caught in the middle. Mm-hmm. And for those of you that are celebrating this, understand that the bulk of people that are being affected are elderly and children. That's the bulk of the people. Yeah. Has someone taken advantage of it? Probably.
And
sure has.
We've seen that a lot.
Yeah.
I'm not saying within Matthew's Hope necessarily, but we've seen that historically. We've talked about how people have taken advantage of it multi-generations, and that's not the purpose of it either.
Yeah.
So speaking of taxpayer funding, Matthew's Hope does not rely on taxpayer funding, but you guys are indirectly impacted with programs or organizations that do rely on funding. So what's going to happen when that funding dries up?
Well, first off, let's just tell this. Okay, the funding isn't drying up because the funding hasn't been there.
Right.
A lot of the funding was put on hold at the first of the year, and nothing has come out yet on what the next step is going to be. So a lot of your nonprofits that serve the least of these, the homeless, the disadvantaged, the disenfranchised, are on a holding pattern. They don't have the money to operate and do the things they need to do. So that's a misnomer. That's a stop. The challenge that we're having is that though only 6.2% of our $15 million budget is taxpayer funded, our partners, most of them are fully funded by taxpayer dollars. And so we're absorbing this in a way that I don't know, quite honestly, how long we can do that. I can tell you our last outreach day was another record that broke the record from the previous week. Between our two locations, we served 293 people,
Wow.
men, women, and children,
Right.
living in our community. And that doesn't even consider the number of people that are calling us and asking us for help, asking access to our food pantry. The challenge that we have is that our food pantry was designed to be a supplement to someone's full food stamps. I've often said that if you have food stamps and you're really good at budgeting, it's going to cover about 85% of your needs.
Okay.
So we're supplementing that. We are not in a position to take those same 293 people again in the coming days and provide them 100% of what they
Right.
need.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
We just don't have those kind of resources.
So several of your guests are relying on these SNAP benefits to supplement their food.
Oh, not several, all of them. All of them. And they are also, them and those that are homeless but in poverty are also depending on the food pantries that also food has not made it to the food pantry. It's actually been wasted sitting on trucks to prove a point. I don't know what point we're trying to prove other than starving the United people of the United States.
Right.
But that's a fact. That's a fact. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. I can show you. That's what cat. And again, I hate that we get pulled into politics, but the reality of it is we are in the middle of it, whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
I just like to make sure people understand that personally, I don't think either administration over several administrations for decades have done much to do anything to address the growing homeless crisis, which has been growing literally since the 70s.
Yeah.
How can food insecurity escalate other health problems?
Well, I mean, you're going to start having people that are going to be malnourished, or you're going to start having people who are going to, on the other end of the spectrum, just eat a bunch of junk food because it's less expensive. And that's going to, cause a whole new set of problems, a whole new set of people that are going to, get sick from diabetes, all these other things that are going to roll into that as well.
One of the most expensive things that we rarely get donated is protein drinks.
Yeah.
Most of our population we serve are not getting enough protein. And so you're trying to do this balance of watching their health further fail, which we're literally watching. Keep in mind, what normally the last week of the month is our busiest.
Yeah.
And the least busy is the first of the month because people have gotten their SNAP benefits and what have you.
Okay.
What's happened instead is what normally is our least busiest became our busiest, and we have no idea what we're facing in the coming weeks. Based on the what needs to be done, this has to change literally in the next 48 hours. And there's no indication that anybody's coming into Washington to do anything about it.
It's going to happen, yeah. So the work requirements for SNAP benefits recently increased to 20 hours per week of work, education, or training for individuals up to 65 years old. Is that threshold challenging for some of your guests to meet, and why?
I don't think it should be, but I will say that has been a huge complaint. We have to work for our food, so I don't think it should be. We have to work for our living, but that's been a huge thing that has been talked about a lot with our advocates and our volunteers as well.
And here, I'll just put this out. I'm pretty much capitalist at heart. when it gets right down to it. Shove your much money in your pockets you can possibly get. Good for you. Well, okay, just remember where it came from and how quickly it can go away.
Right.
That said, unfortunately, in our government in our country for years now, we swing the pendulum from one side to the other. We don't actually look at the situation. A lot of our folks are in no condition to work. They're disabled in ways that often you can't see initially, and you're going, why can't that guy work? And we'll spend 3 days with him, and I'll show you why he can't work.
I guess let me rephrase what I said. I don't think a healthy, able-bodied person should have a problem with working.
No, I
even
agree.
if it's volunteer.
Agree with you 100%. And we have those people.
Yes.
And quite honestly, a lot of them are working our program and earning points. So they're earning their way into housing and paying child support and getting surgery done on their eyes and teeth replaced and what have you. That's all happening. So anybody doubts that, we're a working program. But I can also tell you that when 35% of your first-time new homeless people are now baby boomers, these people aren't coming in the greatest of health. Yeah. And that creates a problem. Then when you look at the fact that you have this huge group, 11% being children, 8% being college students, 5% being veterans. I can keep going with all the stats you want to go with, but when it all gets said and done, somewhere around 70% of those people aren't really in a position to do much work.
Right.
So my feelings are, again, if you're able-bodied, absolutely. If you're not, we should have a different way of dealing with that.
Agreed.
So we've had guests on, and we've talked about many of your guests who do have full-time jobs or good, decent jobs, but they face a lot of challenges. Can you guys talk a little bit about that, what they're facing? So maybe they're not able to go up to that 20 hours a week.
Well, here's, I got plenty to say because we're watching it every day. Look, I hear this thing about get a job, blah, blah, blah.
Why
even
don't
the 20
you just
hours.
Get a job.
And even the 20 hours of volunteering time and what have you. I'm all about that. Okay. I really am all about that. That said, when you now have a system that people don't have access to basic needs such as showers, outside of us, when you can now be incarcerated for sleeping outside, so you're not getting proper rest. Now you take away nutrition also just sustenance. Is that saying that right? Yeah.
Substance.
Thank you. You're trying to get it out of my mouth there.
That's not right either.
I'm not the only one.
We're not the most overeducated group, but we know a lot about what we're doing, right?
Substance is not
bottom
what we
line,
want to say.
it's food. They don't have food. They have nothing to power them through.
Yeah.
And John, leave that in there. I think it's fun.
I think it was kind of
because it's just true.
I agree.
You sit there and you go, okay, so you don't have access to daily showers. You don't have access to fresh clothing every day. You don't have access to a bathroom. You don't have, and now you're not getting access to food. I mean, let's just keep piling on and then keep saying to people, why can't you function? Well, you know what? I challenge every one of you on here listening right now. Go ahead and do this. Don't shower for a couple of days. Don't change your clothes. Don't eat. And don't sleep, and go to work and see how long that lasts for you. Or a better idea, if you're not working, go for an interview. Okay, and just see how that goes for you. It's not a matter whether people want to work or not. That's rarely the case. But what happens is often people are saying, well, they understand they're homeless. They said, do you have access to a shower and clean clothes? Well, no, I don't. Well, where do you sleep at night? Well, wherever I can put my head. Oh, he runs right to the top of my list who I'm hiring. People try to simplify it, just simply show the ignorance involved when it comes to homelessness.
Yeah, agreed.
Or lack of heart. Yeah. And often it's lack of heart.
Yeah, I think it's more lack of heart than ignorance at this point.
We're seeing a lot of that now, aren't we?
We've done a lot of educating throughout the years.
Yeah.
And so now what is it? You've been educated now, so now you're just choosing to be heartless.
Yeah.
Right.
We've been getting a lot of emails, or at least I have. A lot of messengers and a ton of comments made on social media that just blows my mind.
Wow.
And it's like, well, they got to hang in there because we got to feed our people first.
Oh.
Agreed. I'm not so hip on the fact that we're sending $40 billion over to Argentina, and we can't feed our own people. Yeah. But the problem here is is we're at a stalemate, and nobody's coming to negotiation tables. But we have to, if we're fair and we're honest, we can say this is true. The Republicans have the president, they own the House, they own the Senate. Okay, to suggest for a minute that this is just on the Democrats, that's a line of bullshit from straight one. It just is wrong. Okay, it's going to take both sides coming together, and like I said, the master deal maker to come in there and get them to talk to each other. But we can't keep doing this stuff. You know, I'm in the air. I'm flying this weekend, and what do I see? Christy, what's her name? Okay, on there, and she's talking about some of the challenges going on right now with flying. And it turns into a political advertisement on the Dems shutting down the government. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, how is that going to help anybody
it's not
get
going to
anywhere?
solve anything.
It's like me calling my better half ugly and say, hey, you want to go get the sack with me? Okay, yeah. Look, sorry, you know, I mean, come on, guys. This is, you got to put it. Let me put it in raw terms for you. You can't slap your wife and then ask her to cook you dinner. Mm-hmm. Okay, they are slapping each other like fools, and the thing is, the American people are putting up with it. Why anybody should be happy with this on either side of the aisle is beyond me. Yeah. Right. There is no winner in this. None. There's no two teams. Mm-hmm. There is one frickin' team. It's called the United States. And so far, all we've managed to do is crush our own people. Yeah. And those of you that don't like that and want to quit sending us money, you probably weren't sending money anyhow. The truth is, let's talk about real facts. This is straight talk, no BS. And we need to talk to each other that way, because this nilly feeling, I can't believe you said that about my president. Oh, come on, give me a freaking break. First off, you talk about grabbing my wife's hoo-ha, okay? And then turn around and talk about, let somebody talk about euthanizing people in your administration and stuff. Come on, that shouldn't be allowed, period. That's what I'm bothered by. I don't have to like the president for him to be my president. What I ask him to do is act like a human being. And understand that without the other side, you don't get all what you want either. Right. And what I'm really fearful of, if the next time around, all what happens is going to be more retaliation. We've turned into just, it's my turn to retaliate against the others. Mm-hmm. And other people losing is the American people.
Correct.
Right.
Sorry, that's my rant for today. Probably not the only one.
Probably not.
Well,
it really, it bothers me to see the people that I talk to in tears, saying, Pastor Scott, I'm doing everything I know to do, and I can't feed my family. Mm-hmm. You know, we're going to have some guests in here, one of our upcoming episodes, of people that simply got their rent got raised, and they got out there and then couldn't qualify for another place. Right. Mm-hmm. A guy, if I remember right, served 17 years in our military. Is that how we take care of our people?
Right. Yeah.
You have a question?
I do. That was just reading. It's good to get things off our chest and talk about.
It's sad, Tracy. That's
it is.
You know, I am
sad.
Disturbed. I'm sorry if that seems too strong a word for me.
No, it's you don't need to be sorry. So we're going to move into health insurance, which is another huge topic off of, you know, providing food for our family, but also providing good health. So if health insurance premiums do skyrocket, as many suggest they will, do you think that will lead to an increase in homelessness in our area?
I think people will just try to manage and go without health insurance for the longest time, like we did when we were required to have it before. There were people who they just figured out how to not have it, and they paid the penalty. And unfortunately, now it's going to be somebody's health, not just $100 at the end of the tax year, however much it was. I don't even remember how much it was.
And we're already seeing and experience that those with health insurance that are homeless, I'm watching them get dropped left and right now, because they actually had the gentleman that been working Jerry with through his cancer and stuff, just got notice. Okay, we finally got his cancer under control, and things are looking good. He's doing some follow-up care. Our nurses are taking care of him. And he gets a note in the mail the other day, Arm Better, I think that's what they're called.
Arm Better.
They dropped him.
Oh, no.
And you're sitting there kind of going, well, you know, here's the problem is you get insurance. It's kind of like Matthews Hope has massive amounts of insurance. It's our biggest single expense.
It really is, yeah.
And we will never file a claim unless it's catastrophic, because we can't afford to lose it. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, anything that goes up in price just means less people can get care.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. However, for whatever it's worth, the insurance companies are making a lot of money.
So, Shelley, you mentioned that a lot of people will just cancel their health insurance to save money. But what is the risk in that if they do that?
Well, I mean, honestly, the risk is, you could be healthy one day and then you could get into a catastrophic car accident, or you could have a diagnosis that you didn't expect.
Right.
And then what? Then you're going to end up in a worse situation than spending that 15, however much money, a year.
Right.
And then you're going to
Medical
end up
bills
in
go crazy.
places like Matthew's Hope.
Well, and something also unfortunate that happens, even when people are only having to pay their co-pays and they can't afford to pay it. Okay. They don't have it.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, typically what happens is they're put under pressure to pay it. So they beg, borrow, and steal to pay that. Okay. Only to put themselves in a worse position. What people need to do is remind themselves that hospitals most of them are nonprofit organizations. They have to work with you. As long as you're making some kind of payment, they can't put you in collections. I am myself, I make a fair living now, but insurance for me is so expensive. I roll the dice and I have insurance for catastrophic type things. So if I have a heart attack or a stroke, I'm in good shape. Everything up to that, I got to pay for myself. And I've spent thousands. That it was still less, spending thousands and the thousands more I would have spent for the insurance and still had to have the copays.
Yeah, I forgot about those copays because they.
I guarantee those copays are going up too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, everything goes up with it.
Well, to save
for
money
sure.
on your monthly premium, you get a higher copay. So
Right.
it's.
We are creating the perfect storm, and I don't understand why.
Mm-hmm.
I don't personally believe that what we're going through right now needs to be this way. Civics taught me that. But we don't do things based on civics anymore.
Right.
We do things on what the small but loud parts want to do. And we got to stop that. Someone keep, here, this will take a bunch of the Trumpsters off. Okay. Let me put this one out there. Okay. Roll your eyes at me. Here's the thing. They talk about the mandate that was given. Here's the mandate that was given. 37% of registered voters didn't even vote. Now that's a frickin' mandate. Okay. That's more than he or she got. Okay. It was a 35. She was a 32, I believe. And 37% didn't even vote. What has happened in our country that people have just gotten to the point of giving up and not even showing up at the polls?
Because people think that their vote doesn't matter anymore. And
That's it.
I don't understand where that thought process came from.
Well, I kind of do. I think, I will admit that over several elections, I have felt like I'm voting for the least of the two evils.
Well, of course.
As opposed to, hey, that man or woman's going to, make it right. I used to believe that, now that I see that you can just do whatever you want, and the House and Senate isn't going to sit. What's the point? And that's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem is that even if we get that, we got to realize that if we don't vote, if we don't do that, you're going to get whatever you get.
Yeah.
Okay. And my thing is when people complain and didn't vote, I go, you just shut up. I don't
You
want
don't
to
have
listen to you.
you don't have a voice.
Say.
Yeah.
Their voice
But
is
the mandate was 37% of all registered voters didn't even make it to the polls. And
Wow.
and that's a mandate, but that's also very disturbing and should concern everybody, even on both sides of the party.
Right.
Dems and Republicans both need to look at that and go say, well, why is it 37% doesn't trust either one of us?
Right.
There's something there. Yeah. So how challenging is it for your advocates that connect guests with services to keep up with the ever-changing landscape of these various programs and benefits?
There is constant education going on with our advocates. We constantly have them learning something, reading something. Last week we were at a conference for them to learn, it was a conference to end homelessness, which we know that's not going to happen, but we all learned something. We all had something there to learn. We learned, how some police are working with organizations like us. We learned how, some benefits can help that we never even knew about. And we didn't know because there's just so many benefits out there. You can't know everything. And then next week we have our advocates going to for more continuing education. If you're going to be successful in this, I don't know what to say, in this realm of world, in this nonprofit and doing this work, you have to constantly educate yourself because things change so fast.
Wow.
It's and it really is. I mean, we have invested heavily in our medical staff, in our mental health teams, and our advocates. We're probably doing more training now than ever before because we want to make sure we understand every nick and cranny of what's available and how to get our folks there. But also to be a good steward of the donations we receive. You want to be able to send your money and know that the people you're sending your money to, your hard-earned cash to, are educating themselves on how to best use that money to get the best results. And we're trying to do that all the time. We're also, though, trying very hard. We're spending a lot of time, more than ever, going to civic groups, to churches, whoever invites us to speak on homelessness and what the truth about it is. Because the truth is, most folks that I sit down when I ask a few questions, they couldn't be more wrong. But they're buying into the false narrative. Crime is my favorite one. There's no cover up for the homeless. First off, nobody likes the homeless enough to cover up for them. But go and look and find out what the crimes are, what their habitual crimes are. And they're things like theft of need.
Yes.
Okay. We had a sad thing happen. One of our disabled vets over in Brevard County the other day, we just got him into housing. About a week and a half or so ago. But still trying to put all the other pieces together for him. And he was hungry. And so he stole something to eat from Publix, and charges were filed. And because of that, he's lost his housing. Now, do I think it's appropriate that he stole from them? No.
Right.
But there's got to be a better way to do this than take a man who's disabled, also wheelchair bound, and then turn around and make him lose his housing for that again. He's not one day miraculously going to stand up out of that wheelchair. His life is only going to get tougher as he gets older, but the longer he's on the streets, the harder it's going to get.
Thank you, guys. This was a heavy topic, and it might even get heavier in the next couple of days. So thank you for all that you do and all the people who you guys are helping. And I encourage our community to help Matthews Hope. Like Scott said, you guys do a really good job of sharing where donations go and how it's being used. And I think you guys are really good stewards of that. So I encourage the community to whether donate, volunteer, right? Like, subscribe, share this podcast with your friends because knowledge is power. Let's not just assume. And get more people help.
Let me throw this out there too real quick, is that I want to encourage people to ask the hard questions, peel the onion back, look on page 2, however you want to put it. Understand, I've said this in past podcasts, but I told my children growing up, and you guys are probably tired of hearing about it, but I said, I'm not going to tell you what to believe theologically or politically. However, I want you to understand why you believe something and then be able to articulate it.
That's how I taught my kids as well. Yeah.
And I said, if we may disagree, but I will respect you because you found out for yourself why you believe that and are able to articulate it, right? And I would say to the public is don't get caught up in your favorite news channel, whether it be CNN or Fox or NSB and whatever they call it. Okay. No, you need to well-round what's really going out there and find that, okay? Because on both sides of the aisle, they're going to tell you what they want you to hear.
Right.
And you need to look at it with a critical eye and what's going on and how it may affect you in the future. So we want you to ask the hard questions rather than just sending me nasty notes how I don't like our president. I don't even know our president. I don't care to know our president. What I care is that he be a president for all people. That's what I care about. That's all I really care about. Be president to the Dems, be president to the Republicans. Understand that the poor don't have to have, they have the right to vote. That was put into law a long time ago. You don't have to own land to vote and all those kind of things. So, again, educate yourself on civics first and say what you're seeing, does that look anywhere close to what should be happening? And then again, rather than just make noise on social media, contact your city, county, state, and federal public servants and ask them what the plan is.
Use your voice, yeah.
Use your voice, okay? God gave you a voice, he gave you a brain. Use it, because until people start asking the hard questions, you gotta remember, they work for us. I know it doesn't look like that anymore. They work for us. And we need to ask them how they're using our money.
Yes.
Are they using it for the will of the people? Are we understanding what's going on?
That's not right.
So with that being said, thank you guys, and we'll see you next episode.